Hello, everybody. Happy Monday, and welcome back to yet another edition of the digital version of NHL Now. Jackie Redmond, EJ Radick, and a very special guest. Last week, we found out who the finalists were for the Willie O'Ree Community Hero Award, and today we are profiling another one. This is John Hofferman. I think I got your last name right, John, but correct me if I didn't. He is the co-founder and executive director of the Columbus Ice Hockey Club, which is dedicated to developing skills and core values in underserved youth in Central Ohio. The organization has distributed more than $300,000 in scholarships and more than $250,000 worth of hockey equipment. So John, congratulations on being named a finalist, and thank you for all of the work that you do in your community, because you're clearly making an impact, and we're really excited to talk to you today.
Well, thank you very much. I guess the first thing I'd like to make sure everyone knows is this is not the John Hofferman. It's collaboration with so many amazing people in Columbus. I'm just a small part of it. So it's really cool to see, like 20 years ago, where we started at to where we are today, and just how many people are involved to help us make this as successful as it's been.
All right, you mentioned there's a lot of people involved. You mentioned it was 20 years ago. How did it all start? How did you get involved? What was the genesis of this program, which has really done such great work in the community now for more than 20 years?
So it started with Columbus Recreation and Parks Department in 1984, and I worked at an inner city center, Barnett Recreation Center, and it was just one of those things where we were trying to come up with different things we could do. We actually did a tennis program for the kids, golf. Then we went to the winter time, and I decided let's try some skiing. We even started a skiing club. But my roots are from Canada, and I played a lot of hockey. So then we did street hockey. So street hockey and floor hockey started in the early 90s. And then somebody told me, why are you doing this with the kids? Black kids will never grow up to play hockey. And I'm like, wait a minute. So it's kind of the impetus was somebody telling me I couldn't do something, so we had to prove them wrong. So there wasn't a scheme around in 20 years. It was just, if we give somebody an opportunity, let's see what they can do with it rather than say.
I gotta say, I love that attitude. When someone says you can't do something, you gotta prove them wrong, right? And clearly you and many other people have been providing a lot of opportunity for people that may not otherwise have been introduced to hockey. You mentioned you're from Canada. Where does your love of hockey begin? How did that start? And I assume you're a Blue Jackets fan.
Currently, I am definitely a Blue Jackets fan. I grew up in Lethbridge, Edmonton.
Okay.
So my early were back then, but my parents, unbeknownst to me, flew my sister at the age of 6 and me at the age of 5 to my grandparents' house in Detroit. And it was over the Christmas break, and my grandfather and uncle took me to Olympia. So I saw my very first hockey game was the Detroit Red Wings. So that's kind of where everything kind of started.
Gotcha. Well, hey, I can tell you, I've been to Lethbridge, so it's a nice spot. I enjoyed it. I got to see junior hockey up in Lethbridge many years ago now. But, it's funny, John, you mentioned something there when you talked about your program, is that people said to you that, hey, black kids, people of color, kids of color, they won't grow up to play hockey. I mean, it's a sport that really helps you in so many different ways, understand teamwork and being a citizen and being part of a team. I mean, were you amazed by that comment at the beginning, and what have you seen when you've given kids an opportunity to really enjoy a game which we all love?
So I think the very first time we actually started doing floor hockey at Barnett, we had a kid who was Muslim, a Jewish kid, a couple of black kids, and an Irish kid. You know what I mean? Like, it was like a melting pot of kids, but no one cared what the other kids were. You know what I mean? We just literally gave sticks, showed them how to use them, and we had a blast. So a one-day event turned into, let's start making leagues. And within 2 years, we were doing street hockey leagues at Barnett. So it's just one of those things where when you create the opportunity, you never know how it's going to be. But more than anything else, it's always been about how do we provide opportunities. So once you give somebody an opportunity, then how far can they take it? So some of the things that we've learned in the 20 years is just how can we accentuate or accelerate the progression? Because obviously when we first started playing games, we were the bad news bears of hockey, right? Everyone couldn't win a game, right? We barely could score goals. Then finally we were practicing more than we were playing. So we were eventually going to get better. And we really focused on some skating and just skill drills. And I ran into a gentleman by the name of Paul Donskoff. He's recently passed away. So to me, we've lost one of the big mentors for Central Ohio and Columbus hockey. But that gentleman had only met me for maybe 5 or 10 minutes. And he said, well, if you're really going to do to show you some things. He invited me and my whole family to dinner that night. So that started a relationship. And Donskoff Hockey has been around for doing a camp for the last 20 years. They've given us scholarships for kids from our program. So all of a sudden, we're doing like a learn to play thing, and he's getting our kids progressing. We've actually had a bunch of kids come from our program, and we're like a developmental program. So then now we can start to get kids of color who are actually highly skilled kids. And so we've had kids on the AAA program here in town. I know one of our young men, Ayodele Adeniyi, is now going to go to Huntsville, Alabama, play D1. So he's the first kid from our program to do that. We've had a couple kids who played juniors and some that have played, a couple girls that have played in college. So, it's just one of those things where every single year we kind of reevaluate what are the things that are going well, and then how can we keep them progressive? Because you don't want to just give them something and then say, well, now go, throw them to the wolves or whatever.
Yeah. Well, the Hockey Diversity Alliance is something that was just formed in the last few weeks. From your standpoint, when you look at how this program started 20 years ago and some of the comments that were made then, how big of an impact do you think that the Hockey Diversity Alliance could have on the game, and just for young kids to be able to see not only people that look like them playing in the NHL, but that are actually taking action and trying to make the sport and the world kind of a more inclusive place?
So to me, I think it's a tip of the iceberg thing. We're just barely scratching the surface. You allow kids to have these opportunities. And I think the hardest part for us is we have to go to the rec center, pick kids up, take them to the equipment, and then take them to the rink. So if we could get rinks in these neighborhoods, it's just like anything else. They have to have a way to get there and then get equipment. So if it's already in place in their neighborhoods, it could be exponentially progressed. It's just one of those hard things to, I know it's expensive to do it, but there's ways to break down some of these barriers that we have in place that, the systemic problems that we're having in institutions nowadays. It's kind of exemplified by, well, you have to go to these neighborhoods to play hockey rather than have it in your own neighborhoods.
Well, listen, John, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. Congratulations again on being named a finalist. For viewers at home, voting actually starts today for the Willie O'Ree Community Hero Award. So you can head to nhl.com/O'Ree Award to place your vote. Voting closes on Friday. John, before we let you go, I got to get a prediction from you. Columbus, Toronto, 5-game qualifying round. What do you think?
Columbus is taking that one. We're going all the way this year.
All right, John, it's been a pleasure. Good luck the rest of the way, and congratulations again. You're doing big things, and we all appreciate it in the hockey community.